Well, okay. Welcome to Innovation FM, and on today's show, we're going to have a conversation about various topics, a little bit political, and then we might go off into some other ranges, but just some things that have been on my mind. Today I have Alan Kovat,
COVID.
Coven, in studio with me, Studio B. And before we get started, I want to let you know that you are listening to and watching, for some of you, Innovation FM. And we want you to go to our website, innovationfm.com, and subscribe to our email list that we have, where you can get our free newsletter. We have upcoming events, April the 18th. You can read more about that on our website. Also, we have our top 20 countdown heard on Fridays and Sundays on KUVO, Fridays at 6 p.m. and on Sundays at 9 a.m.
9? Is it
Yeah.
9 a.m.? All right.
9 a.m. Yeah. So anyway, let's get into this. Okay, Alan. So yesterday or a couple of days ago, Elizabeth Warren, she decided that she wanted out, or maybe she was pushed out, because I guess even in her state, they didn't pick her as number one; they picked her as number 3.
3, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. And for those that may not be quite familiar with what we're talking about, we're talking about the previous Super Tuesday, wherein she went ahead and, after such proceedings and things, why she went ahead and dropped out. So, what's your question, Johnny?
Okay, the question is, okay, it seems that now she's blaming, there was no Republicans that voted for her, but she's blaming her party, saying that they're being misogynistic, they're basically being a woman hater. She's crying that the little girls are not going to see the first woman president. And she's almost sounds like Hillary Clinton. Instead of saying, I lost because I didn't have a good game. Do you feel that now that she lost, or now that she bowed out, she's now going to become a victim?
What often can happen, especially in today's society, where oftentimes everybody is a winner, or at least that's what we're told nowadays. There are no real winners, there are no real losers. Why, our children, when they go to school, during their field days, an interesting thing happens. They are often given a medal of participation. It's got a little ribbon, says, hey, guess what? You went head on and you participated in our field day. So, by golly, don't worry about that blue ribbon over there. I mean, sure, that guy worked hard to get it, but, there's no winners. There's look at actual real-world consequences. And so, Elizabeth Warren perhaps putting all of her eggs in one basket and deciding, maybe that's who she is, rather than making the running about an activity that she is doing. Now, let's take the focus off of Elizabeth Warren per se,
Okay.
and let's put the focus on anybody. You want to have an election, and you want to do well, of course, and there are times where, of course, you just don't make it. There's that time where one could be a good sport, and one could admit and realize their possible shortcomings if they believe they have any. Why, if they don't, the idea is not to attack the other person or the other group or the party that they are affiliated with, so to speak. And so whenever that happens, there is a certain logical fallacy which is in play here. I can't remember the name of the logical fallacy, but it's a situation where, gosh darn, I lost. So therefore, it's somebody else's fault. And here's why. And they bring up things that have nothing to do with the fact of why that person might have won or lost. And that's the situation that we're in here, I'm afraid.
But you know what? Okay, Pete Buttigieg, the other lady, they both, what's his name? Mike, they all bowed out. And it just seemed, maybe Elizabeth Warren has told a lot of lies and stuff like that. Maybe the bigger liar you are, the more you feel like calling the victim card. Because I keep thinking like those other people didn't fall on that victim card. They just said, "Hey, we're tossing our eggs into Biden's basket," or I don't know if they're going to do it for Bernie, because I have a feeling that they don't want Bernie in there anyway. They're just kind of manipulated so they can kick him out again. But it seems to be those two women are the only ones that went to that level, saying it's my party that is the wrong one, rather than saying I didn't run a good enough game. I didn't set up an organization solidly enough, and therefore I lost.
You bring up a very valid point. Now, with Mike Bloomberg, somebody who basically went in with the idea of perhaps, I'm not sure, but perhaps knowing that he wasn't going to win, especially judging from some past remarks that he had made with regard to, why would I want to get in there? That kind of thing. And those types of things. He got in there to be perhaps what you might say cannon fodder. He paid for his own campaign, so it doesn't matter. So he ran some good interference onto the other two folks that you're talking about here, Elizabeth Warren and
Pete Buttigieg.
Pete and no, but there was a lady in particular that you had in mind that you had mentioned as well.
The lady from Hawaii, I forgot. Klobuchar, yeah.
These folks are definitely wonderful people, and perhaps there are times, especially when there's a situation where there's a election coming up, and it's really important to win that thing. But it's so important that the facts can go ahead and be twisted. The Overton window can go ahead and be moved. The Overton window being it's a big fancy phrase for the way we look at stuff, the way that we view things. And by golly, the bottom line here is this: man or woman, child, it doesn't matter. Non-gender specific person of your choice, it really doesn't matter. We all have feelings, we all have thoughts, and we all have responsibilities. And so if we lose at a thing, we are responsible for our actions. Or if we fail at a thing, we are responsible for those failures. If we, however, succeed at a thing, we're equally responsible for those successes, as well as, if we tend to put others first, that in and of itself allows us to succeed.
Yeah. Now, in my opinion, America will be ready for a female president, woman president, but not those two. Elizabeth, someone once said, to tell a lie, you have to have a good mind to remember what lies you told. And with the so many clips from the media, we just found out too many lies. Hillary Clinton, I feel that she was the president when Bill Clinton became the president. I just feel that he was the puppet, and she was running a lot of things in the background. So I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just saying that I believe that Hillary Clinton already had her 8 years, but she wanted to be the front person, right? And I'm saying, like, in the future, yes, there will be, but just not those two women for whatever reason, not those two women.
That's an interesting viewpoint to have, and you know, I have to agree with you that women are indeed suitable leaders and indeed suitable to hold the highest office in the land, that being the presidency of the United States of America. By the same token, if indeed one is unable or unwilling to be accountable for whatever their actions are, whether they bring success or whether they bring a lack thereof, or whether it's found out after successes are had that they were ill-gotten gains, so to speak. It all does little to really put the finest point on everything. And that's accountability. If there's not accountability here, there will be accountability in the hereafter. So some believe that when we meet our Maker, there's going to be a white throne judgment. We're going to appear before, you know, and all that. There are resources which will cover that, and that kind of thing. We're not there. There are others yet still that believe that there's nothing. And so, gosh, we better make our fortunes now and here, because there is nothing after this. And so we better hurry too, because by golly,
time is gone.
The bottom line is this: whatever one does believe, there is accountability. Whether or not you're accountable to the absolute and unequivocal nothingness that greets us at the end of our last heartbeat, or whether or not we step into the pearly gates and eternal life forever, or, you know, perhaps we get smoked forever, you know. I don't know. I got to get those asbestos water skis out and that fireproof suit there. But that's the bottom line, is there is accountability.
Hey, and if you're just joining us here on Innovision FM, wanted, you know, if you want to, we have a comment line. It's 720-324-7278. That's 720-324-7278. You can leave a voicemail there, or you can even drop us an email as well at info@innovisionfm.com. That's info@innovisionfm.com. And if you're reviewing this on YouTube, you know, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're hearing it on Innovision FM radio, you know, shoot us a message, letting us know, giving us your feedback. Want to touch on this next time. I hear a lot of people saying we are a democracy, and they say in this democracy. And I'm getting like, wait a minute. When I was saying the Pledge of Allegiance, I didn't hear anything about democracy. I heard we pledge allegiance to. I heard that we are a republic. And tell me, Alan, your thoughts on what are they trying to do by switching those words? Let me tell you, the way I see it, a democracy would be like you have two wolves and a lamb, and they're in charge of what's for lunch. It just puts this image in my mind of but tell me your thoughts on why you think they're trying to hook us into thinking that we are a democracy rather than a republic.
Well, that's a really good question, Johnny, and I'm glad you asked. You know, if there's a million years one could wax long upon the differences between a democracy and a republic versus a democratic republic versus a on and on and on and on and on. We're talking specifically, I think, Johnny, and correct me if I'm wrong, about a constitutional republic versus a democracy. Is that
Yes.
what we're...
Yes.
Okay. So, in this particular experiment, and this is a wonderful experiment. It's been ticking right along for 200 and what? Oh gosh, 235 years. I don't know, man. I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
But you know, the difference between our constitutional republic and any other government is this. Besides being, in effect, ruled of the people, by the people and for the people, once things come to litigation or have to be, I used the wrong word, once things come to election, or once things get to that point where votes have to be cast as to whether things need to be passed, well, you have to actually define what is a democracy. What level of democracy do we want to allow into our constitutional republic? You see, the left hand needs the right hand. The right hand needs the left hand. We need each other. And there needs to be unity. And the reason why I bring this up is because without the democratic process in our constitutional republic, you'll have a band of folks that perhaps through gain, using free market capitalism and all kinds of fun and crazy stuff that we may or may not have time to go into right now. These are shows for different times. But where was I? Free market capitalism. Because of this type of thing, what can happen is a tyrannical right-wing draconian kind of government where you've got a proletariat, a large class, which it really doesn't matter whether there's your lower class, your middle class, your upper class, because really it's all been subsumed into one class during this. And they're ruled by an elite few. And these folks, generally being right-wing, are some conservative. They want to keep that power going. And by the same token, you can have the same thing on the left-hand side, same proletariat type of situation where you've got a class of people, but these are broken up into different subclasses.
Now, could that be like the swamp that President Trump is always talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because in this class, you've got folks from both sides of the aisle, so to speak. It's been a long, long time since we have been a true constitutional republic. But the bottom line is this. There is supposed to be a two-party system, which is made up of a democratic process and a Republican sort of governing body. So you've got elections after people have cast their votes as to whether something should be on a ballot. And those elections are supposed to be somewhat democratic. The ballots that we cast are supposed to be more of a Republicanized sort of deal, wherein you need a certain amount of votes to get onto a ballot, as opposed to a 51% or nuclear option to say pass said bill.
Right.
So we do need that fair and balanced, as it were, left and right hand approach to our current experiment using the constitutional republic as our foundation and our platform that we're talking about. Did I get too far off the subject?
No, but I was also thinking, like, because I've heard the other side saying that Donald Trump is the most dangerous president and that we've ever had, and I'm thinking, is it because he's challenging that power structure, or that he's mixing up where saying, like, wait a minute, well, we're not going to become, of course, we're not going to become a socialist country, but we see like this undercurrent of socialism that's been around for a long time. I was looking at stuff back in the early 1900s, probably even further back than that, where these socialist groups were trying to flip our country into a socialist country where, they know more than we do. Give us your money, and we will tell you the best way to spend this money, and we will, since we're the upper salons, we will tell you what we think is best for you. And Donald Trump just jumped in and said, "Hey, wait a minute, you're the people, of the people. Not you're not. We're not. The government is not. This king, which they accuse him of being, but he's not, and he doesn't say he is. But it just seemed like it's just a lot of people fearing that they're going to lose their power just because he's shaking things up. And I think maybe he's the first president to really shake things up in such a way where these guys that have always had power, now they think, well, maybe we're going to lose our power because of this one guy, this one president who's only going to be there for 4 to 8 years, and then we're on to the next one. What do you think about that? Or did I go too far down the rabbit hole?
I'm glad you asked that question as well, Johnny. It's an interesting situation that we find ourselves in, wherein this particular president, for whatever reason, has enjoyed the wonderful opportunity of basically a polarized public, which he has the blessed ability to be able to be the president, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to say there other than that.
Yeah, because it looks like, it seemed like he's enjoying this banter. It was a learning curve.
Absolutely. It took him a minute to get his sea legs under him, and I will tell you this, whatever did transpire, whatever didn't transpire, whatever Russia this, hoax that, phone call this, and yada yada that, and impeachment, and on and on and on and on and on. Still, that division remains, and it is in my mind, it's engineered. I look at things, and I look at today, and I imagine a little room, and I imagine the high mucky mucks of all the world getting together in the room with all the money and all the finances and all the all of the all of the STEM stuff, all of the science, technology, engineering, the medical field. Everybody represented in this little room of this little group of folks. They rule the world, basically.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if we just kind of... All right, so here's the deal.
Stir it up.
Yeah, here's the deal. So we live in a society where we like to collect gum wrappers. That's gum wrappers. Now, you ever wonder why they put gum in paper? Well, I have. I always wondered, why don't they put it in a plastic, like they do with candy? Because, they used to put candy in paper. They now put it in plastic.
Right.
Why do they do that? Well, when gum gets hot, it sticks to the plastic. And it gets that plastic all... this is a family show, so
It mixes, it melts
into
into
it.
it.
Yuckied out. Yeah. So because it's a family show, we'll just say it gets it all yuckied out.
Right.
But not so with paper. It doesn't stick to the paper as much. So, yeah, you might have your gum getting in your pocket and melting and things like that, but it doesn't stick to the paper. And so you want paper. Why am I bringing up gum wrapper societies? Well, I'll tell you. It's like this. We live in one of these gum wrapper societies. We've been looking to try to get different types of paper, foil, neat shiny stuff, things that's actually edible. There's a certain gum out there where I've heard, I don't know this because I just don't know, but I've heard that if you eat the foil on the gum, it's part of the flavor crystals and all this neat stuff, so it's edible, basically, is what I'm saying. So there's different foils and there's different papers out there. Well, what's happened is this. Somebody decided to get plastic into our gum wrapper collection society thingy. Thus now, because when the gum gets hot, so to speak, we got our political environment. It's polarized. We have people that love our beloved President Donald John Trump. And we have folks that hate our most hated and feared and infamous leader, Donald John Trump. And then we have folks in the middle that don't give a rat's tail as to what happens, as long as they can do their 9 to 5 and they can go home to their families and they can do their things and they can pay their bills. That's really all that matters to actually the left, the centrists, and to the right. Can we go home? Can we pay our bills? Can we live with our families in peace and harmony? That's really at the core of everything, and that has been attacked, as it were, and we're now all divided. And I totally forgot your question, Johnny.
But it goes to another level. So in this one, in Colorado, we had 46% participation in the voting. Well, I don't know if that's just on the Democratic side or that was just in general. I'm thinking, like, where are these other people? What are they doing? And it seems like you said, like, I have 2 daughters, they don't participate at all. I have friends, they don't participate at all. I'm the kind of person, I will always vote for the presidency. Sometimes I vote in the off season, but as the older I get, I'm now voting in all seasons. And maybe, I don't know if it's just the older you get more, you look around and you say, well, let me participate more than I did or what. But that's just the way I'm doing it at this moment. Maybe next year I'll get bored and do something different. But I just know seeing things that it was almost like I was asleep. During all this time, kind of trying to survive, trying to pay bills, raise kids, and now that I'm free of that responsibility, now I have a chance. I can look around and say, wait a minute, let's find something else interesting about life. Since I'm not raising kids and I'm still working, but I'm not doing these other very distracting things. And then I try to bring it to my kids, and they say, "Oh, Daddy, you're just worried about nothing." It's just like, we don't participate, we don't care. But then I say, if you don't care, there might be a new law there might be a new something there, and you say, well, where did this come from? And it's because you didn't participate, and there you are, you're entrapped in some government policy. And so I'm thinking, like, the question would be, with maturity, do we wake up, or with maturity, do we grow into looking around? Or is it some people are just born the way that to always look around? I mean, in your opinion, what do you think?
I can only go by the experiences that I've known, Johnny. And I'm reminded of the first experience that I ever had that I could remember very clearly. It was 1974. At this point, Gerald Ford was president, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I had learned from a show what a watershed was. A watershed being also a water closet. water closet or a watershed. Those being a restroom, you know, the place to go.
Right.
So I was very intrigued by this. Why do they call that a watershed or a water closet? They also call it a John, a Lua. Anyway, we're not there. Anyway, what I did find out was about Watergate. And I'm like, oh my. Okay, cool. It's a gate that goes into the watershed. So when my mom came home, Mom, I learned about the door that goes into the watershed. It's the Watergate. She absolutely told me, no, son, that's not the case. You know, and as best she could, she tried to explain to a little 3-year-old what Watergate was all about. Now, why did I bring up Watergate? Well, I'll tell you. When I began to find out what that was at a 3-year-old, 4-year-old age, about information, disinformation, and covering things up, and I am not a crook when in fact, you know, some say I'm a crook, and you know, impeachment, and impeachment. I mean, you've got impairment, you've got impeachment. Why do you not have enablement?
Right.
No, I don't know. I just things that I thought about when I was a kid.
20 seconds to go.
But basically, to answer your question, it's simple. The Democrats and the Republicans are not what they used to be. The polarization has shifted, and it's called that Overton window I brought up.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you joined us for our first show in this just stream of thoughts and comments. Like I said, we want you to give us a call at 720-324-7278. That's 720-324-7278. And sometime in the near future, we'll be doing this live where we can take calls and or read your comments in the comment lines as well. But give us some feedback about this. IntervisionFM.com is the station. Subscribe and like. And for Intervision FM, this is Johnny and Alan saying see you the next time. Okay, let's stop this real quick.